So I mentioned it in the first video that we did for Inside Trek World that one of the topics that we could do as a throwaway topic, for lack of a better word, is what is the news on the 3-foot model? Because I haven't really been able to do a true video package on the main channel about it. Well, effective this week, believe it or not, unfortunately, um, or fortunate, depending on how you want to look at it, the decision was made by the courts to award the model to Gene Roddenberry's son, Eugene Roddenberry. Basically, the whole concept of it was stolen, and therefore, as stolen property, it should not be given to the people who purchased the rental agreement in the storage utility and then discovered it inside. And at the end of the day, after about a year and a half of court back and forth, the judge agreed with that finding. And so effectively, Rod owns the model. And it is finally free to leave Heritage Auctions and go into Rod's possession. During the various depositions and stuff like that, it did come up that, Roddenberry didn't have the model. The Heritage had it because the lawsuit, as it was worded, Heritage said tied their hands. They couldn't give the model back to Roddenberry or give the model back to Dustin and Jason. So that meant they had it. Now I can go to Rod, and wherever it heads next for restoration or for conservation, we'll find out in the near future, I would assume. I would expect Roddenberry Enterprises, or Roddenberry Entertainment Incorporated, I think this was called. I expect them to make an announcement soon that, they've put that legal battle behind them. Now, is that legal battle really gone? No, it's not. There's going to be an appeal, but, there's always an appeal. So there'll be an appeal, which means it's going to take about another year or so before we get the opportunity for the appellate court to make a ruling on this. The true losers in this, ironically, are Dustin and Jason. They bought the model, so they actually put money into it. They bought the model. They took it in, with the hopes of making a lot of money from Heritage, courtesy of Heritage making that claim. And then things began to fall apart when the finder's fee was brought forward. And so I'm really hoping that Roddenberry Enterprises does what I would consider to be the right thing, and that is go ahead and at least give them the finder's fee that you offered them up front anyhow for finding it. And then put this mess behind us and move forward. And in giving them the finder's fee, that might actually be a way also just to go ahead and bypass this whole appeals process. However, that is entirely within the purview of Dustin and Jason to decide what they want to do with it. And right now, from the legal teams, the appeal is definitely going to proceed. So that's pretty much it. Now, I am going to do a larger video, I think, for the main Trek World channel that goes through the whole history now, because I now have its full life. I know everywhere it was from the day it was made to earlier this week when it was actually given to Roddenberry. And I have evidence for all of that. So I think I'm going to put that together into a video. I'd been waiting to see the outcome of the lawsuit before I made a video, because I didn't really want to end the video on something along the lines of to be continued. Although, courtesy of the appeal, it will be to be continued. However, for now, the decisions have been made final, the judges made their ruling, and the case is officially closed until the appeals go through again. So that's where it is. It now belongs to Gene as far as anyone claims, or it now belongs to Eugene as far as anyone can claim. It should make its way back to his possession ASAP. And I would imagine we should be getting some information very shortly on where does it go next? And more importantly, is it going to end up in a position where fans can go to see it? Everybody wants to go, can we put it in the Smithsonian? The Smithsonian is unable to display 98% of what it has. That's why the Klingon battlecruiser very rarely gets displayed at the Smithsonian. And so putting it in the Smithsonian probably would be the one way to guarantee it never got seen. I would probably recommend more giving it to maybe the Pop Culture Science Fiction Museum up in Seattle, the Paul Allen's family originally started. That's where, the captain's chair and all the other good stuff had been hidden up there. I don't use the water hidden. It's been up in Seattle, which unfortunately makes it out of the reach for a lot of people, but it's been on public display, and they quite often lend it for tours. There is the second D7 shooting model, and that's on permanent display up there, as well as the AMT model that was used for the Trouble with Tribbles. So I would say that's the place to put it if you're trying to put it with a curated collection that already exists. But we'll see. And this for the first time in a year, actually the first time in almost 2 years, uh, you now know what I know, and I don't know any more than what you know. Up to this point, I've always had the privilege of being behind the scenes on the lawsuit and knowing exactly what was happening and what was going to happen, even though I couldn't really speak of things openly while the lawsuit was progressing. So I'm kind of excited. I mean, it's now, the final frontier again. I don't know where they're going to go with this. And I think that the story, I don't think we've heard the last of it. Anyhow, I think that's it for now. So I'm going to go ahead and figure out something else to talk about at a different time. And I'll get up with you then. Take care.